is 8:30. It's time for the weekly meeting of the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors. We have an agenda in front of us. Do we have any additions, corrections, deletions?
Under the Valiant project update, I think we need a project time extension on tanks.
Extension on tanks?
Yeah, time extension.
Anything else?
Can't think of anything.
I don't have anything. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as amended. Further discussion, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item 2, Allen project update. Tom, you're up.
Last Monday, the city council for Osage approved one of the reports that Rustin had came here and talked to you guys about. Next Monday, they'll be approving another one, and that'll all go down to DNR. And we're getting close to needing to go out for bids on this stuff now. When we do that, I'll provide you guys the resolutions and stuff that you need, so you can, Mark, take a look at that stuff, what needs to be published in the paper, and then full instructions for all that, okay? It's not quite yet, but we're getting real close. Yeah, let's see here. That's really all there is to give you an update about that. The tanks are still going along good. I've got a project extension in front of you, and most of that is because of us. I'm sorry, it's right here. And what it is a change order.
What was in front of us?
It's in front of you, just not in front of you. There's 3 copies, please, and just pass them around, take a look at them. This extension's for a couple things. They took the reasoning, but it's really our reasoning for the project extension. Some of the products those guys are using out there have a recommended temperature for installation, and they have an alternate temperature, meaning that they recommend between 30 and 90 degrees. However, it can be applied as low as 10. Well, we take that part out of the equation, and we always stick with just the recommended portions of it. So there's a number of days when it was cold out, we wouldn't let them guys necessarily do their work. In addition to that, we had them basically preheat all this stuff, and they had to run a temporary power service out there to do that because they didn't have power out there for this. So again, I think that they asked till, I don't know what it was, the middle of March or something like that. I gave them actually till May, just because I don't want to come back again if there's days that we don't let them guys work again because of temperatures, okay? Our goal is to make sure the product out there is what we're expecting it to be. And even though the manufacturer says we can install some of these adhesives at this lower temperature, it's not the recommended range, so we're not letting them do that. And then there's a couple of weeks that they got snowed in on Wisconsin, actually, trying to get back here. So again, it doesn't impact our schedule whatsoever. There's no financial impact on the project. In fact, it kind of stretches out you guys' payments so you don't have to make them so quickly. So I think that helps out a little bit financially. Like I said, it's more us than them, but again, I want to make sure we get the product we're supposed to have out there. Any questions about that?
Not about that, but when do we go out for the building part of it out there? And I need to know that in advance so I can get a hold of the insurance and make, because we were doing that in steps.
How much heads up do you need on that, Joel?
I don't know.
The only reason why I ask is that there's a 4-week window between the time you guys set the bid dates and the time we actually open up the bids. And if that's a big enough lead time for you, 4 weeks, then you'll
I
know.
don't think
Okay.
it is, because it didn't take that long last time. And,
Okay.
and we sent them a diagram and told them, and fired back with them.
All right, and the way I normally go is, like I said, you guys have set the bid dates. There's a 4-week bid window. We'd open up the bids. You guys would approve them at a board meeting, and then the contracts would go out for contractor signature first.
Okay.
Then they'd come back. That takes about a week. Then you guys would sign it. So really, there's about a 5-week window in there before notice to proceed is given. And if you need more, let me know though.
Well,
I'll let you know.
As long as we have builder's risk before they start.
Yep, that won't be a problem. I'm working with Kathy right now. She had kind of sent out a update on the financial part of the project with regards to the economic development grant that the state had given you guys. And then also trying to work out what we think is going to be the pay draw on the project, so that you guys understand that for your interim financing or whatever it is that you got worked out. I hope to have that to her probably by Wednesday, and I don't know, she'll probably get together with you guys and to talk more about that. Other than that, there's not much more city action that's required. You guys are running the bids, they've, are gonna approve all the rest of the reports. I think most of it's not in your guys' hands, so. I'm not sure, I work for you, of course, but there should be a point where we sit down with the, I don't know, the Osage Utility Committee and kind of beam them up on what's going on. I don't wanna do that outside a meeting with you guys, cause I like you guys to be involved with all that stuff too. Maybe think about it and see how you want that correspondence to happen. I don't know, Joel, if you're in town someday, if you wanna be involved in those meetings, or whatever. Like I said, I just think you guys need to be part of all that stuff, so.
Maybe to know what's going on.
Exactly, so.
You know,
I don't,
oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I don't tend to have any meetings with them without you guys
Okay.
knowing about it, so.
Do I have a motion for the change order on the extension of tanks?
I'll second.
Morel moved, Volklander second, further discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote, Morel.
Aye.
Volklander.
Aye.
Walk, aye, motion carried.
All right, Stan, if you could sign all three of these, basically, sign and date in the middle, one of all three of them, and I'll take them away from you, you guys will get a fully executed copy, and it comes back to the contractor.
Today is what, the 12th?
Yes. 2 more days, you guys get your Valentine's all figured out.
What's that?
2 more days, you get your Valentine's all figured
Yeah.
Do I need the other two?
out. Yeah, need the other two.
Oh, I wrote on mine.
That's good.
That's okay.
I thought it was my copy.
That's just a review copy.
I just put on
Yeah, I
it.
probably got one here too then.
You can keep the back sheet if you want, the front one, you can sign it.
We'll keep that one.
I'm gonna have to get you a contrasting color pen there, Stan.
I thought I had one.
Need one?
It's
Oh, you
too
need
late now,
blue?
but it'll be fun.
Red?
As long as it's not black. Thanks, sir. You guys have a great day. We'll see ya.
County Attorney, general discussion. Mr. Walker, you're up.
Did you get my email on this Vanguard Appraisals Inc.?
Yeah. Refresh our memory.
This is the one with the assessor,
Yes.
where they're going to come in and reassess property values, things like that.
Oh, yeah, that one I did see.
Okay. I'm gonna go down after this meeting and visit with Amy down there, and then, if it's all right, which I'm sure it is, I'll contact Lowell and have him put it on for next week to review, approve, and sign it.
We don't do that though, isn't that?
Well, any contract has,
Conference board?
well, conference board chairman, I guess.
Oh.
And we're on there.
Who's the conference board chairman?
Stan.
That'd be me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Short straw.
This is more for Lowell, but, was anybody gonna get back to me on this issue from the IRS?
That, I don't know.
Okay, I'll stop down there.
Okay.
Stan and I had some discussion about ATVs. Anybody has any questions on that? Abandoned vehicles, has anybody heard any more from Mr. Rhodey on those vehicles?
I haven't heard a thing.
Mark hasn't said anything.
Mark Ross,
I'm gonna hold Mark, see if he's heard anything.
they wanted to come and get them, didn't they, or?
Yeah, but we're not going to let him have them until
Right.
paid for.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't gonna do anything since he said he was gonna come and get them and pay everything, but, and that's all I have.
Okay. Next item is an ATV Task Force presentation. I don't know if you want to stay for that. They asked for 10 minutes, I believe.
That's all we need.
Yeah, I'll stay for 10 minutes, that's fine.
Anybody else have anything for
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, so Gabe's going to give the, the presentation. The task force has been was put together several years ago, and we have lots of folks in the state. We work with the DNR, we work with the DOT, we work with the Department of Public Health,
You
and
want
we
to
work
explain
with
who you are
community
and what
groups.
you're representing?
So I'm Jareen Denning. I'm the Director of Research in Emergency Medicine, and Gabe,
From
Gabe
where?
from Iowa City, the University of Iowa. And Gabe is our intern, so he's working full-time for us on this particular project. So I'm representing this larger task force group. We do a lot of things. We do ATV safety at fairs. We have a school-based ATV safety program. So one of the more recent things that our research has been on is ATV safety on the roads. So that's what Gabe's going to tell you a little bit about what our most recent work has been.
So I think you guys have some of the slides.
Yeah, I gave them copies, what do you think?
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna take a look at them. So there's some of the main points we're gonna go over. Like the term all-terrain vehicle refers to the vehicle's ability to operate off-road in various conditions. We also talk a little bit about the engineering design issues that cause problems when they're used on the roads, and I understand there are occasions when road use is necessary, like in farming, but the fact of the matter is that more people are allowed to ride them on the roads will likely result in more crashes, and this will result in more injuries and deaths and just things we don't want to have to deal with. So fatal ATV crashes on the roads, crashes will result in deaths. As you can see, crashes on the roads are extremely deadly. There's some data there on some of those slides. Roadway crashes are becoming more prevalent in Iowa due to increase in roadway traffic. You see more crashes on the roads every year. These are there's some reasons listed there why the deaths are rising. There's no mandate for training on how to operate an ATV safely. If you're 12 to 16 years old in Iowa, as long as you have a safety permit, you can ride it. Doesn't mean but at 16 years old, you don't even need to have a safety permit on how to ride one.
You can't ride it on the road at age 12 or 16.
Unless, not on the road, but if you have training between 12 and 16 years old, there's no mandate as to what size of ATV you can be on.
Not on, you
Not on
cannot
the road.
ride it on a public road.
Okay.
Well, that's, so Iowa law prohibits all operators except for farmers to operate on the road. But there's
that?
no, so Iowa law overall prohibits riding on the road with ATVs except for farmers for agricultural purposes. So that's kind of,
That is not correct. Iowa law allows county supervisors
well, yes.
or cities.
Right,
to
to
grant-
expand that, right.
Yes.
But but in Iowa law, they don't talk about, because it doesn't ban, or because the law, basically bans it except for agricultural purposes, then if you expand, there's really no age restrictions unless you write them into the ordinance. So if you expand road use, it's not clear whether, because that 12-year-olds aren't allowed on the road unless you explicitly, sort of state
Iowa
that.
code specifically says you must be a licensed operator with a driver's license. Iowa code,
To ride on the,
highways, yes.
well, that's for automobiles, but
That's for ATVs.
but
Iowa code 321-234A and 321I-10.
right.
Are you familiar with those two sections?
Yes, and that again is for the restrictions for the agricultural use and other licensing use, but it's not clear. It's not clear when you start to expand use whether which of those restrictions actually apply.
Oh, I think it is very clear. The code is very specific that you must be 16. You
And you
cannot.
have to be licensed.
You have to be licensed, the vehicle has to be licensed.
Mhm.
You can only ride it from a half an hour before sunrise to a half an hour after sunset. You can only go 35 miles an hour. The code is pretty clear on what you're allowed.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so, yeah, then there's some more data on non-fatal crashes in Iowa. Just the fact that kids are riding these, even if you're 16 years old, doesn't mean you've been trained on an ATV. You could be a small 16-year-old operating an 800-pound ATV on a highway, whether you're doing it legally or not, it's not safe. And the ATV was not designed for the roads, so the tires are not the right tires, not the right weight, it's not a safe issue.
Correction again, this last summer, I took my ATV over here to Rizowitz,
Okay,
and I got road tires.
you got road tires?
Yes, I got road tires,
Okay.
and they are the right pressure.
Okay, so is that something that's mandated then, that all,
No, it's not mandated, but
Okay.
people that are safety conscious will have them.
okay, all right, well,
So just to make the broad statement again that we don't have any of this is a fallacy, I'm sorry.
we're not trying to say that, we're just
No,
Yes, you
no.
did. Yes, you did. But go on.
Okay, so another issue isn't just the tires, it's also the high center of gravity. And the speeds that you're operating these at on roads are faster than what it would take to make a normal corner, and they're just not designed to go fast on roads. They're not designed to be on roads. The manufacturers and resellers of ATVs come out and say, there's a statement on the last slide that they've released saying that our products are not meant to be used on roads. And there's a couple other slides in there. One, the recent crashes, most of those were on roads. These are all around this area. I'm still waiting on some numbers from St. Mary's Hospital and the hospital in Mason City, just about how many ATV crashes they see on a yearly basis and the ages and everything, but a lot of them are occurring on roads, and they're saying that if you take them off roads, you reduce the number of injuries and deaths. Yeah, the current law, there's the resolution that was passed in January is, I feel is somewhat vague. It doesn't really, I'm not sure if it just defers to the Iowa law, the state law, but there's some other counties in Iowa that have done this ordinance, and theirs are several pages long. They're trying to discuss a little bit about operation times and training and like possessing a safety certificate. There's no law that changes the size of the ATV, or I haven't seen anything that changes the size of the ATV yet. But then there's also another county in southern Iowa that is requiring, if they're gonna be on the roads, they have to have a bright orange safety flag so they're able to be seen. I think that's probably all I have for you guys. You guys have any questions for us as to what's safe and what you feel, or no?
Have you contacted the legislature on this at all?
I have not.
Yeah, so, well, we just,
I think they're the ones that created this big mess,
Mhm,
and so they're the ones that need to clean it up.
mhm, I agree.
I'm not comfortable with one group of people allowed to ride these on our rural roads, and another group is not.
Okay.
In
You
terms
mean
of what?
in terms of farmers being allowed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm a contractor, I was working out in the rural areas, we was working on, and we could hear them coming down the road, full bore, 2 of them, 3 kids on each one, all day long. Nobody said, nobody was there to stop them or anything, their parents obviously let them go.
Yeah, part of
My
the
other
problem
question is,
is,
how many people are killed on motorcycles a year?
Lots.
Alright, are we stopping that?
That's, I mean, we're saying that motorcycles were designed for roads.
I guess my feeling is, I have not had any comments in this county since we okayed this. And I just talked to the gentleman, auditor actually, from Benton County, last Thursday.
Okay.
And they chose to do the same thing we did. I said, "Do you have any problems?" He says, "We haven't had one word, one way or the other."
So the thing is, the longer you wait, there will be problems.
Well, I think is if you ride them sensibly, you won't have a problem.
Okay.
Right. So,
My kids used to
Right.
build ramps with their bicycles and go riding over those, and then pretty soon one would be coming in with a big scrape on his leg or something. Gee, wonder why that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, use them sensibly, you won't have a problem.
right. So we come at it not so much from the legal point of view, but we come at it from the injury prevention point of view. And we agree that obviously if people ride responsibly, you're not gonna have crashes. But the problem is, again, if you create additional access, that you're gonna have folks doing more risky, you're gonna have folks riding faster than they can safely do. And so,
You're just assuming that.
Well, then you just, there again, you have to be aware. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't help it if somebody's out there gets killed on his motorcycle, I can't go hold,
If we wanna prevent everybody from having an
Right.
injury, why don't we keep them home? You can't leave the house.
when there's two groups of
I mean-
people that get to do it, forget it.
Right,
That's
yeah.
a poor law. Take those off the road too, then, if that's what you're.
well, no, you always balance the needs versus the risks. So for farmers,
I know a farmer, and you know what he did with his? Him and his grandson would go riding down
Sure.
to see the cow.
yeah,
Oh, I'm gonna take you for a ride. So they went down the road. I'm sure they didn't go over 35 miles an hour, but that's what he was using it for. And he wasn't plowing a field with it. He wasn't, it was kind of recreation for the farmer.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
you know.
And that's it. People use it, people use it for recreation and things. So,
Well,
but-
everybody should be able to use it
Right.
for recreation.
There
right,
was a number of accidents last year. There was one here in Mitchell County. The guy was on the state highway, prohibited.
right,
There
right.
was one north of Mason City. The individual's on the state highway, prohibited. There was another one not too far away from here in another county. It was kids that were 12 years old, rode through a fence. They weren't on the highway.
Well, the one over by Riceville, they were
Right,
two,
right.
what were they, 9 and,
Oh.
where were their
Yeah.
parents?
I mean,
No, I agree.
these are, you can't use things that are absolutely against the law and then say, well, gee whiz, they're not paying attention to the law anyway.
Well, I
That-
mean, we're
What-
trying
what
to
is-
prevent.
So
Well, that's
the
fine.
way we look at it is that there are engineering approaches to reducing injury prevention. And one of the engineering approaches is to either redesign a safer vehicle, you put on the correct tires. That's an engineering approach to safety. The other folks aren't taking that. But one of the engineering approaches to ATV safety is operate them the way they were designed to be operated, where they were designed to be operated.
Well, what's gonna
And-
be next? We have a river that is very popular here in Mitchell County. It goes from Halverson Park to Interstate Park. On that river, there's a lot of boating. There's also a lot of water skiing. And at some point in time, somebody's gonna get injured because the boats are going up and down the river fast, and here's the water skiers. And he might make a slip or whatever else. So should we now next outlaw water skiing on the river in Mitchell County? And maybe put a speed limit of 5 miles an hour on the boats? Where do we stop on this?
Well, and that's, yeah.
Why are you so interested from Iowa City, what we're doing up here in Mitchell County?
Well, we're interested because we get we get a lot of the people who are killed and injured. And so, again, we come at it from the healthcare perspective. And you're right, you can't make anything perfectly safe, but you try to do the risk-benefit analysis. And you try to, the fact that nothing's perfect, in terms of public health and safety laws or traffic laws,
A lot of people
Doesn't
are
mean
injured on
that you don't-
bicycles. Are you advocating that everybody wear a helmet on their bicycle?
Absolutely.
yes.
Well,
Should
how
be
many
on
counties-
motorcycles then too.
Should be
Yes,
on motorcycles.
well, we
should
would-
be
How
on
I
many
mean-
counties are you
nobody
going
else.
to, trying to advocate this? I'm sorry,
Well, what we hope to do is at a state level, and we're not here to tell people what to do.
Yes,
We
you
just
are.
want,
No, we're trying to provide information
Well,
to
and
you
Just-
that's good.
on what's
Maybe-
safe
Yeah.
and what the recommended,
Maybe she
But
could
the
go down to the
recommendations from
recorder
the-
and give her a bunch of these copies, so
Yeah.
when people come in and register it, she can hand this to them, and they can read it at their leisure and,
Make up their own money.
yeah, react
Well,
accordingly.
yeah.
okay, I mean,
Yeah,
as
and
long as the
that's
information is
what
there
we-
for them.
Right, that's what we're hoping to do, is we're hoping to put this out there at the county level, at the city level, and at the individual level,
And the
so that
legislature
people
needs to
can,
hear it too,
right, so that
because they're the
people
ones
can,
that created the mess.
yes, I mean,
They don't wanna deal with it.
yeah, so
I
we're,
don't think it's a mess.
well, they've created the ambiguity that
Well,
is causing, yeah.
It's
It's not
true.
a mess. It's just-
DNR tries to control one, the DOT tries to control the other.
Yeah, it really is, and that's the complicating part of ATVs, is that they are not roadway vehicles, and so they're not regulated by the DOT.
So they should
And-
stay off the road?
They should,
Yeah, so
they're
should
designed, yeah, they're designed very
And
specifically.
bicycles and horses.
No, wait a minute, I ride a bicycle still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no,
I mean,
and
if
I do
they're
too.
Under the same logic then.
Well, exactly, I mean, I think everybody
Anybody else have a
uses their
comment?
stuff
Yeah.
responsibly, they're not gonna have problems.
But we know, yeah, we understand that, that we just want people to try to understand why these vehicles are riskier on the roads. And folks, individuals to make personal decisions, but also policymaking bodies kind of need to think about the risks versus the benefits and then go from there.
I had two individuals thank us for allowing them to ride it on the road, so. I mean,
Oh, sure.
I think the
Oh,
public,
it's,
the public
no
wants
doubt
to,
that it's fun, but.
they want to ride it, and I guess,
Walk down here.
it's at your own risk, it's
Yep.
with everything. You
Yeah.
don't drive a car, it's your own risk.
Should sell.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Kenley.
thank you.
Yep.
Well, that's the
Okay.
case.
County engineer update.
Morning.
You're up here on to the end.
Yeah, oh.
The,
Morning, Sheila.
you want to, dealing with the ice, we got most of it cleaned out, the guys are scraping a little bit more, salt's running low, we'll probably get some more salt from there, we aren't by any means gonna run out, but we still got our remainder of our tonnage to order yet, so we're looking at probably getting more of that in. Excuse me. Next week, I will probably be coming in if we need to have a STP application for the tip and stip. We've got STP projects in the program already, and if we need to modify any costs yet, we'll look at that for next week, and then I'll bring them in for you guys to approve. We'll have our NIACOG meeting on the the applications are due on the 22nd, so I'll look at the stuff this week and I'll bring it to the meeting on the 19th, so I'll have it for the NIACOG on the 22nd. NACE is coming up. I've mentioned it to the Worth Board yesterday that all county engineers in the county are going to be asked to work. I've already been asked to work at NACE as far as being a moderator for one of the sessions. So April 21st through the 25th is when NACE is taking place in Des Moines. So we'll be down there giving our colleagues from other states tours of Iowa, or giving them the idea of what Iowa's all about. Other than that, we did not see our different mechanics truck come in yet, but I emailed them to find out when it was coming in, so it should be painted. Maybe it was a scheduling conflict on their end.
They can have a real good tour if you give them, an ATV to ride alongside of you.
I missed that whole thing. I came in here and I think things were stirred up already. I'm not sure. I didn't want to say it, and I probably shouldn't, because
Go ahead.
all-terrain means what?
Exactly.
All-terrain.
That's right.
Well, you go south of town here, you just cross the bridge, and you look to the west, and I don't know if that's a dirt bike thing, or if they ride ATVs on it, or both, but I mean, here's the ups and
Where's
downs.
that?
Right,
South?
right on T
Johnson's.
38,
Okay.
To the west side.
Well, there's
on the
a
west
few.
side. And I mean,
No, I'm sure.
if you're riding either a motorized bike, motorcycle, or an ATV, and you're going up and down in those things, you're gonna have a much more likely chance of tipping over, having an accident. And when they're off on, like you say, on this rough terrain and that,
Oh, yeah, that's.
You guys have said it more
You
than
just can't
once.
protect people from themselves, that's all.
That's
it was.
exactly where I was gonna,
You
you
know, I
know,
mean, it's.
they had a young guy killed on a snowmobile.
I wonder
in,
if them people have ever ridden one.
They had the X Games and an individual got killed, you know, they're jumping ramps with snowmobiles and this one flipped and he got hit and he lived for a while and then the injuries killed him, but that's the risk you take on those machines. I get on my snowmobile and I know there's a risk. There's things that you don't see in the ditches, there's things that can happen when you're riding. Parts fall off and it's a risk you take. But
Yeah,
anyway,
If you wanna go 90, that's, and if you wanna go 30,
Darn
you're gonna have
fast
a
with
much better
something
chance.
The most dangerous place in the world is the American highway.
well,
You know, 30, 40,000
So you're safer to
people
fly.
a year get killed in car accidents,
yeah.
but we still drive.
so, anyway, we did, we got a estimate into the insurance company too for the damaged guardrail down south of town too, so we'll be getting that. I don't know, we'll get it fixed before spring now because it's frozen, but we'll get that taken care of too, so. We'll be looking at here in the next few weeks too, budget program for the state, and it's just more of a 5-year forecast, so maybe we can sit down and discuss what we wanna look at in the next following years after, you know, we've got stuff up till 2017 program, but maybe we can look a little further and have a discussion on where we see the needs coming up next. At the Paving Association workshop this last week, kinda interesting information, and I'm sure the asphalt people wouldn't like me to share it too much, but, you know, they keep talking about asphalt prices and how high they are, and the forecast doesn't look good as far as prices coming down for asphalt. One of the big things is the oil refineries are, they're investing more. Asphalt's a byproduct of the crude. And now they've found equipment that can refine the asphalt material to get more fuel. So there's gonna be less asphalt in the market. I don't know what the asphalt people are gonna do to make up for those kind of losses, if they're gonna try to find some synthetic things or whatever. I'm curious, the asphalt paving workshop's coming up in March, and I'm curious to see what they have to say about their future, because it's, when you see prices go up for asphalt, and it almost looks pretty steep and it's not coming down, and concrete and other materials are kind of steadily going up with the cost, the construction price index, it's kind of a scary thought to be in that industry. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with asphalt, I'm just talking specifically prices. That it's a good material, we use it a lot just to do quick patches and stuff, so we use it, and it's beneficial to us, but it's gonna get more expensive.
Well, you probably saw in the paper here this last week where Josh Burns mentioned that basically fuel tax, they're kind of thinking now that maybe they can get it through on a 3 cent, 3 cent, and 4 cent over a 3-year period. Well, basically, in order to get that whole 10 cents and for us to be able to utilize it again, I mean, the whole 10 cents, you're looking at 4 years out.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it takes you a full year of having that thing in place before you start getting the money that you can work with. And another 4 years again, like you say, with the asphalt prices going the way they are, construction costs going the way,
Yeah.
we're continuing to lose on this whole thing.
And I had a conversation, I know Senator Breitbach from down in Strawberry Point, and I had a conversation with him about where he thinks the fuel taxing is going, and he said there's still opposition down there, and the opposition is from the people that live in the big city, the ones that have I-235, whose fuel taxes paid for those interstates and whatnot. And he said, you go out into the country, these rural counties, and see what the roads are like. You guys in Des Moines here have no idea what these roads look like. So there's still gonna be a battle, but I think, you know, and him being new to the politics down there in Des Moines, he knows that the bill needs to be pushed, and he's fighting for it. But, you know, these guys in the larger communities, they've got a lot of pull too, and they're not so anxious to start raising taxes. But, and you know, call it what it is. It's a tax. It's a user fee, but it's a tax.
Well, they haven't done anything for 23
Right.
years, and now all of a
So-
sudden, you know,
It's
they
like
could have put a
postage
penny
stamps
on
tax.
every year for 23 years and nobody said a thing.
Postage, that's funny.
Postage.
You know, the post office is losing money. We got a bill, and I saved the envelope, I should show you sometime. The bill came from Osage to our office,
via McAllen, Texas.
How does that
With
work?
the wrong zipper on it.
It had the same zip, it had from an Osage business to our office, but it went to McAllen, Texas before it got here. Now, it got here in, a few days, but how does that?
Just wanted a winter vacation.
I suppose they wanted to be warmed up too.
Pony Express.
So,
Should never left town.
That explain a lot. of
that could
things.
be,
You
it
get
could, yep, it could have just been sorted.
Those machines sorted about 30,000
Well, you probably
an
got that
hour,
experience.
and they just zip that stuff through.
It happens, but, yeah, so I mean, we've got the battle with the fuel tax and deteriorating roads, and we're fortunate enough. I think that NACE 2013 in Des Moines is gonna be interesting to learn a few things about how other states are dealing with things too, so. But I know we've been envied by Mower County. I know that I've gotten phone calls from residents in Mower County about how we paid for our roads, and it's unfortunate that Minnesota doesn't allow them to tip their towers.
Should we annex them in?
Uh,
Should we annex them in?
I suppose we gotta annex their roads too.
Well, we'd annex the towers with them.
Good luck. You gotta go to Minnesota, state legislature up there to get that
Yeah,
done.
well, yeah, it's too bad, but I'll tell you what, we would be in the same shape they are if we did not tip those wind towers. There would have been no roads fixed. I talked to I can't remember what county it is. He says they've been, I think it was Tama County, because they'd just now gotten some wind towers. And I asked him,
Yep.
what'd you do with your wind towers? He said, we tipped them. It's all going to roads. He says, well, they've been trying to get 10 or 15 miles paved for the last 5 years.
Mhm.
And he says there are a lot of roads in Tama County,
Yeah,
so, but how do you get them done? With the little bit of use tax you get and,
and just as an FYI, one report came at the paving association workshop where there's asphalt or concrete overlays have been around for a long time. And this specific asphalt overlay was on an airport, and I can't remember what town it was in. It's 41 years old, and it's finally getting some rehabilitation done to it. So
is that,
it's a concrete asphalt. I can't remember if it's concrete over concrete or concrete over asphalt, and I don't remember the exact thickness either, but it wasn't, I don't think it was more than 5.5 inches of concrete. And granted, it's a runway, but it still sees the freeze and thaw like everything else, so. With your guys' decision to go with the concrete overlays, I don't think it's been a bad decision.
well, I hope
Well,
not. No, it hasn't been.
Well, it was recommended by a county engineer, and we always trust our county engineer.
good. Anything for me?
Well, I know this probably isn't your department, but on the other hand, it'll probably impact you. Have you given any more thought to that trail up there by Bailey?
Have I given it more thought? My
No,
opinion,
Over there by Forest City on the way to Pilot Knob, they've got their trail right in the state's ditch.
they've got a pretty wide right of way to do it though, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
on-
extra wide.
It's on 9.
If we had a wide right of way, I mean, if you were trying to run up, you were trying to run along 105, there's room to do that. But
Well, I'm gonna have a real hard time paving or doing anything
I
to that
understand.
3/4 of a mile for,
if you want my opinion, and I've got nothing against conservation, I'm trying to get it done, but if we're already at a dead end now, is it worth spending more money to go to another dead end until we know exactly where we're gonna turn out? And I know funding might change from now until then too, but I don't know, that's kind of, I guess, up to conservation a little bit too. I guess my question is,
Well,
if you end up having to pave a road for a trail, who's paying for it?
well, my thinking is fill in one of those ditches and put the trail there.
You've got a lot of fill to put in and a lot of water to take care of to do that.
Oh, run the water over to the other side. The one ditch already is, for a portion of the road.
Right, but it also exits on that side because it
Then
gets to
we
the
just
stream,
go on
so I
the other
mean,
side
you've
of
got,
it.
there's a lot of other issues to do with that too, as far as changing waterways and whether that's even legal. I don't know that it's gonna be completely legal to change the
Well, if we
course
do
of
it
a
in the middle the
waterway.
night, they won't know.
work at night.
Well, if you're just
Stop
running
it.
it from one side of the road to the other, I mean.
But
are you
where
really-
where it crosses is where it heads to the stream, and that's why it gets to the other side. That one, the water comes from the north, and it's on the east side of the road, And it stays there until it crosses diagonally under the road to get to the Wapsie down there. And at that crossing is the low point, so you really can't push the water further south. I mean, if you wanna push the water further south on the east side, you gotta dig that ditch out, and there's not enough right of way for that, plus try to get it across at the intersection. You're doing a whole lot more work than you ever planned on just for a bike trail.
We better build a bridge 3/4 of a mile maybe.
It'd be better to have that railroad right away back.
Absolutely.
But it's difficult, it's a difficult situation, and I don't, my thought is you've got a pretty decent ending point right now. Maybe something happens next go around when they wanna extend it, but I don't know how that affects conservation either as far as funding.
Well, they have gotten received a 1-year extension, that they requested, but they have to show
Right.
progress.
Now, what happens if they decide that they're not gonna go any further? I can't imagine that they would say, we want it all back. I can only see them saying, well, we want back what you haven't used.
Yeah.
That to me seems
Right,
fair,
right, that's probably what would happen, if they'd have to give that money back.
Well, there's some comment made that Mitchell County's probably got their required amount of miles in trail.
I remember that comment, yeah.
I guess I would like to know, do we or don't we? And it's not, no, it's not your.
Well, one way or the other, why don't we try to go up to see the commissioners next Tuesday? I called up there, and the board secretaries never returned the call. Of course, that, a few years ago, we didn't either. That was like pulling teeth to get him to,
What was his name?
Oscar.
Oscar.
Craig.
Yeah.
Craig
Oscar
Oscar.
Grouch.
and, but maybe if we can get out of here at 9:30, 9:45 next
You
Tuesday.
won't be over here by that time.
Pardon?
No, but,
Uh,
I'll have,
President's Day.
yeah, we'll have President's Day, that'll be a tight day for me. Unless I can swap, maybe I can come here first. We can make that work too.
Yeah, I mean, we start at 8:30, they always start at
They
9.
start wine, I can switch that around, that shouldn't be a problem either. I'll plan on coming here first next week.
Yeah, because I was encouraged by the folks in Mauer County. They're all gung ho on this trail, and they're bound and determined they're gonna get to our line, but it evidently falls on deaf ears on that last mile with the folks that own that ground, because they're all fired up about, ripping out the bed and planting 4 more rows of corn, But never mind, the one person in the family rides the trail all the time in Minnesota. But anyway, that's not your problem either.
Just kind of an FYI.
We had looked at one of these things too, when we were trying to go through the costs.
3/4 of a mile would be too cost prohibitive, I don't know.
I don't know either, and we had actually looked at, I know Jim had kinda called on a product too, it was more of a, I think it was an asphalytic product or whatever that you blend into, and it's only lasts for a year and you gotta reapply it, or you gotta apply it 3 times a year to keep it effective, which in the long run, I would think that maybe you don't wanna start spending that kind of money, but there are some things out there, and I think people are just scared to say, what the heck? Maybe a guy tries it if it ends up being that way, it's a cheap way to stabilize the road, but I guess I don't know what they look like. It'd be nice to see somebody had done this and see what it looks like. How smooth is the surface, and does it get slimy when it gets wet, or, does it?
Yeah, I think there's some answers there, but maybe crunch the numbers, it may be cost
Right.
prohibitive on 3/4 of a mile, and then again, it
Well,
might be,
The other question is, does it take special equipment to apply that? You gotta have the applicator come in and kind of
yeah, I don't.
mill it up and mix it. But is this for me, or do you
Yeah,
want these
no,
back?
that's for you.
I'll take these back.
See, our former county engineer, instead of him going to look at these projects, other county engineers were coming to our place because we were doing them first.
True. Now that the concrete overlays are all down, everybody learned. No, there's a lot of things that'd be interesting to try on some things. But it's tough to be a pioneer once in a while.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting, it looked like it held up quite well. Against.
I'll read up on it and see.
So, Yeah, and it talks about how much it need per cubic yard.
Yeah, there was
That
another,
kind of stuff, so.
I just glanced in there and saw enzymes, and there's a lot of products out there that people are trying to sell that have a agricultural based enzyme in them that locks the fines up and stabilizes the roads a little bit better.
Other than that, I don't have anything else for you, Rich.
We did get your sign fixed. That's north of Stacyville.
Oh,
The curve that.
I think Stan was talking
Was that your,
about.
okay, yeah, it was, we're like, I looked at it and I go, people, you know, I don't know how long it's been up, but maybe people just don't pay attention to it. You just caught it the one day. Cause it was like,
I mean, the road goes this way and the sign's saying you're gonna
Right.
turn the other.
you curve right and then you curve left, but the sign showed you curving left and then right. And I suppose, you know, I don't know if it's complacency that people just all of a sudden say, that's a curve sign, there's a curve coming up. So you know there's a curve coming up. It's not a severe curve, it's kind of a slow curve, makes you almost wonder why you need it at all, but yeah, it's changed.
No, I could see in a heavy fog,
I'll watch it.
somebody
Yeah.
going off and wanting to sue us.
You're right, well-
I mean, that's.
You're right, you're right. I'm surprised nobody else got, I mean, it's been up for, well, since we got done paving that road probably.
2009?
Yeah, and nobody's really said anything. I guess like I said, if you're complacent, you're used to that road, you know where the curves are, you don't think twice. Anyway, we'll get back here and I'll schedule you guys first before I go over to town.
Yep, we got President's Day next Monday.
Do we have a light agenda so far, Lowell? You know? Yeah.
All right. Have a good week.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rich.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes, does everybody have a chance to read?
I did,
Scan. Oh, that's it. I think
So I got some service.
Great. I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, moved and second. To approve the minutes, further discussion. Hearing none, we're out. Both ends. What, motion's carried. Why don't we go down to item 8? Well, Sheila's sitting here, there's no sense. Or,
Go down to what?
She's just anxious to get back to work.
Well, I always have
wage
things
increase
to
for
do.
targeted case management employees.
Yeah. I think to talk about just, you know, the whole situation we've been discussing the last few months, actually probably off and on the last year. And I know that the county attorneys were supposed to get together. Well, our county attorney had a hard time finding the paperwork and everything, so Rick Holthouse and I finally met with him a couple weeks ago.
Good.
And review the 2080, and they're gonna go back and make a few changes to it. The Chickasaw board did agree to average out the wages, so the case managers will get a 2.5% increase this next year. The holdback on it before was because they didn't realize that it was like a separate, with this 2080 in our account, but it's a TNA account, a trusted account, is that right, Lowell? Is that what that TNA stands for?
I'm not sure on
So,
that.
anyway, so it's a whole separate account. The concerns were that if other employees hear that the case managers are getting 2.5%, why aren't they? However, that is able to be done because it is a completely separate account. And in discussion with the attorney, at that time, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the wages has been the biggest controversial point, it seems. Well, the only controversial point that we've had in our meetings the last couple of years. And his thought was that, yes, it would be fine for the two boards to get together and decide what the raise increase would be for the employees.
Well, we're gonna make them Mitchell County employees over here?
Well, and then, so that's, I mean, this was if things would stay the same,
Oh, okay.
you know, and that would take care of that problem.
Well, kind of looking through the 2080 and the bylaws, it looks to me like the executive board with you meets and decides what raise will be that year for the targeted case managers. It doesn't fall to the Chickasaw County board at all. It falls to the chair of this board and the chair of that board and you.
And that's kind of when they had
And
talked
that's-
about it, and that's what they had decided it should be.
And that's
I'm not
never
su-
been done.
Yeah.
So that null and voids everything from in the past.
So,
Um,
but yeah, and that's the way, when they looked at it, that's the way that they definitely felt it should be done as well too, if things continued the way they are. However, then Rick had mentioned up, and you two must have talked some more after the one CSS board meeting with the mileage, because our rate is less than Mitchell County's as well. You know, and, you know, is that something where you feel you want the girls' office out of the Mitchell County office? So, you know, it's gonna come down to the decision, you know, if you can agree upon the salary, where the chairman from each board gets together and decides that. And I guess I would still recommend the average of both counties, because, you know, it's not necessarily, each county's gonna be different each year probably. Sometimes it'll be the same, but if they were different, then at least it would be an average.
Be such a thing as moving the case managers separate from any county at all. I mean, be their own entity. It says that we're a joint venture, but it
Yeah,
didn't look like it to me too much.
yeah.
I go back to 2080 with the landfill. Now, those employees are employees of the landfill.
Mhm.
Couldn't these be employees of the target case management? Then it takes it out of the hands of both, then you'd have you could go back to the same board, chair of the Mitchell County, and the chair of the Chickasaw County, and then you being the board,
Mhm.
you know, and
I mean, I suppose we could do that.
I don't know.
I guess, I'm not sure what all that would entail, and when I look at everything, I'm trying to think, you know, what, because it's worked so well, and the reason that we first went together was because, you know, Mitchell County was having a difficult time, and Lowell, you were here then, I think, you know, just getting employees, keeping them and that kind of thing, and being smaller counties, you know, sometimes we would need more of a case manager, sometimes Mitchell County would. And even at the time, you know, a lot of counties have gone together with case management because of that, with some sort of a 2080, be it with just the administrative piece or whatever it is.
Well, I see your radius is all the way Waterloo to Clear Lake to, you know, you have clients, you know, pretty well around North Iowa area.
You do.
And then you look at gas, the last couple of weeks, look at the change, it's going up a dime.
What's their rate over there?
It's 42 cents.
Okay, and we're at 56 and a half, so split that in half, this would work.
And if it was the 2080 board decision, you know, I mean, if that would be
But
part
there
of it,
again, Sheila, we go back to that 28E board decision. Well, it's never been Mitchell County.
right,
I mean, we might as well not even show up because we couldn't have changed anything anyway because we're only a 3-man board and they're a 5-man board.
It's supposed to be one vote, I mean,
Right.
one Chickasaw, one Mitchell County,
right.
but then there's no way to break the tie.
Well,
If it's a tie, it's.
But like anything, if it's a tie, the next month you go back to the table and talk about it some
Yeah.
more.
It's,
I mean,
it doesn't pass.
So
Yeah,
I guess
right.
and then, like I say, you know, Bob and I were not on the board in 2004 when this was,
Mhm.
you know, and
Mhm.
maybe it did answer some questions, I don't know.
I have a question about about, you said it was a different account. So why then, if it's a different kind of money, why then do you have to worry about who's getting paid in what county? What Mitchell County employees are getting paid or what Chickasaw County employees are getting paid? Because isn't this money,
Through Medicaid.
isn't it Medicaid reimbursement money? So you could determine, you could give them an 8% raise if you wanted to, because you can just include that in your reimbursement rate to recoup that money. So why is there a problem about each county bickering over what percentage? Because it's, if it's separate.
Yeah, and see, when this was first started, the decision was for the employees to be Chickasaw County employees, in other words, to follow Chickasaw County's, receive their benefits,
Right.
follow their policies and that kind of
Right.
thing. And when it was initially set up, the 2080 board was to get together, agree upon the budget, and to agree upon raises and all that. And when the budget was presented, it was just always presented with whatever all the Chickasaw County employees, you know, had received for raises. And a couple of years ago, Joel brought up a very
Right.
good point, shouldn't it be a discussion with everybody, which, you know,
Right.
I agree with that. And I think part of the problem was, we had our auditor, and, you know, the auditor sometimes making comments where, you know, in the meetings where they probably shouldn't have been, but our auditor was saying that they couldn't because they were employees of Chickasaw County. But yet, you know, when I talked to the attorney, we clarified that, because it's a whole different ballgame with that, and he agreed. So our auditor knows now, you know, and,
Basically, the Chickasaw is the fiscal agent for your TCA.
right, exactly. That's, I'm the employer of record, but
Right.
yet,
So
yes.
our
there's-
board here could approve an 8% raise for them today, and then we could go to the, split the difference, is what you're saying?
You could, you could.
Well, I mean, you know,
Technically, I suppose you could say that you feel that they,
'Cause I
for,
don't remember
for,
catch up a little
for
bit.
compensation for catching up for the last several years, you
yeah,
could.
2 years, and we've done that on a number of boards, Jim, that I sit on. I mean, they wanna, you know, the last couple, 3 years have been pretty trying for a lot of these different boards and entities, and lately, I mean, now they've all, I don't know, seen the light or whatever you wanna say, but they've been trying to catch people up, and
Mhm.
I gave you, I believe, the printout, didn't you get that?
Yep.
And really, when you look at it, we're comparable.
I know.
I mean, you know, so that's good at least, because I was concerned about
That was
that.
the only thing that held me back, Sheila.
But no, but I was happy to see this because I wondered too, Joel. You know, I haven't
Right.
seen one, and this is like
And I would
counties
like
in
to
our
have-
area.
And I don't know who I would go to ask about it, but I'd like to see in the CSS area what all case managers get. I
Yeah,
mean, you
and we
know,
can get that eventually. The
Because you
email
go
was
all
sent
the way
out to all of them.
Pocahontas to Alameda County now. I mean,
Mhm.
well, in fact, we're almost the second district. You know, you know,
Mhm.
21 counties, well,
Yeah.
second district's 22 counties, and you know,
And actually, I do have like an administrators, case management administrators meeting with the region. Every couple months, I'm having one this month. And I will bring that up for everybody to please respond to the survey, just so we can have just
Right.
those numbers. I still think we're comparable,
we are.
you know, to other people, but still, it's good for us to keep up on all that. I guess the thing I really wanted to bring up to you, I think to help make the decision is, you know, I think for the wages and all that, with the Chickasaw board, what I'm gathering, they are in agreement with splitting it, or at least the two people coming together, the chairs of each of the boards coming together and deciding that. However, if it's going to be more than just the wages, you know, it isn't something that we're gonna wanna be coming back to every year with a problem because of the discrepancies between Chickasaw's benefits and the way they do things and Mitchell. You know,
But then
so.
again, I can go back to landfill. Now, those employees out there, they're on Mitchell County's insurance.
Mhm.
You know, I guess yeah, and before that, they were on Floyd
Floyd
County.
County.
You know, I think that it's coming up Chickasaw County time now.
So other counties just take, or why does it change then, or what?
Well, because Floyd County says, you know, we've had them for, how?
Number of years.
20 years,
Since
10
it
years,
started.
since it started. It says time for some other company to take over, and so I guess we kind of volunteered, you know, and so, and the landfill pays Mitchell County the premium. I mean, that's, you know, it's nothing coming out of this county's budget, and that board out there determines the raise of the landfill employees. It's not determined by this board.
Well, I completely, and I've always agreed with you about the raise, I think I did that first time, Joel, I completely agreed with it. You
I know
know,
you did.
and absolutely, I think that's the way it should be. And
I guess-
I believe Chickasaw, you know, and I'm pretty sure that they would as well, you know, it needs to be a discussion. You know, the decision's gonna have to be made, first off, the budgets are due, and I'm not even, I mean, is it time enough to make some big changes now for this next year? You know, if the girls are gonna become Mitchell County employees, if they would become Mitchell County employees, a little bit of checking I've done, what I would propose to do, Howard County and Alameda County had gone together for a while for 2080, because they as well were having some difficulties with different things. And the way they did it was kind of like CSS, the way CSS is done. Alameda County did all the billing under the one provider, and then they were still Alameda County employees, the Howard County were Howard County employees, and then the Howard County would pay the employees and what have you, then just bill Alameda every month, then they would be reimbursed that money. You know, that's an easy way to do it. And the thing is with the mileage differential then, however, Mitchell County would have to put in that extra money, you know, if they received the more mileage.
But then, now again, in the end, does that go into that cost report?
Yes,
Are you
no,
reimbursed for that?
not the extra mileage, just
Not the-
39 cents for reimbursed.
That's all you're reimbursed?
Mhm.
Okay.
Medicaid determines that.
Yes.
Okay, how about
I
health,
need to wake up.
health benefits?
Wow.
Are those reimbursed by Medicaid?
All of our costs are, yes, the health
Ne-
benefits and all that is, yeah. Mhm. And something else, I mean, just to,
So I can see, we could really rework this.
Well, to me, it sounds like it's an autonomous board, and they can make whatever decision they want. The
Exactly.
supervisor should stay out of it completely. That's the way it sounds to me.
I mean, if that's the way, you know, and what I think we need to do is maybe have Mark and Pat get together and talk about it with Joel and Rick and me. That's what I would like to see.
That's been, how long has your county attorney had that, 2080?
Oh,
I mean, something's wrong
forever.
down there.
He has my
So-
work contract and that's been lost, so I have to get another copy.
Well, they had
of
a
that.
fire.
Yeah,
Oh, did they?
well, yeah. Anyway, it was
He's
after
also
the
the
fire.
full-time county attorney, isn't he?
But anyway,
full-time
so,
county
Doesn't like legal help.
so how about if we could maybe, do you think,
Going forward?
do something like that and,
Well, just throw that out to them. You know, the 2.5% is a whole lot better than they've done before, but, you know,
But did the
I don't-
people down there, then, did they get that too, or is that, they just have to go with Chickasaw?
all the case managers,
Okay.
Chickasaw ones, and it'd be the 5 case managers,
That's what it should be.
so.
and I don't know that in that 2080 that they need to be Chickasaw County employees. I mean, they just need to be, it's an agreement between our two counties to have you
Mhm.
give us that service.
Right.
You're our providers
Right.
for all that. We're not asking Chickasaw County to be our provider necessarily.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, is that a problem?
I don't know, well, ask the attorneys.
Yeah, ask
Yeah,
them,
I think they would
yes.
be the ones to talk to and see what their thoughts are on it. You know,
I guess what I'm seeing, I'd like to see a little more fair between the two counties.
I completely agree with that, Joel, I agree.
You know, because I'm sure the ones over in Chickasaw County probably are seeing some Mitchell County residents and vice versa. And-
Which we do.
And we're all
And
over.
with the other counties, right,
And
yeah.
I talked to the gals down there, you know, right there in Clear Lake and, you know, and they provided, you know, it's a
Right.
needed service and I just,
Right.
you know, and I,
Right, and,
Yes.
well, it's just something else to throw in too. You know, with the legislation and all that, health homes, have you guys heard anything about the health homes coming out? Anyway, for people with disabilities, or just any people in general who receive Medicaid, will be enrolled in health homes. They can turn it down and decide not to be enrolled in a health home. But if they are enrolled in a health home, they are no longer eligible for targeted case management.
what's a
Yeah.
health home?
Health home, well, it would be like clinics, I'm not sure if Forest Park Clinic is one, or mental health centers will become an integrated health home for mentally ill people. And that was supposed to go into effect in March, but now it's gonna be later, they're not ready for it. But what it is, it's the health home will receive money from Medicaid, from this, it's state and federal matched. And then their job then is to take care of the whole picture, the whole, everything for that person. Their mental health, their physical health, their home health, whatever they might need. They need services in the home. It's kind of what case management does. They're reimbursed at a much lower rate than targeted case management. And the rules governing them are much less than targeted case management. And so that's all kind of coming out now. In Waterloo, there were some people who were on targeted case management who were automatically enrolled in health homes. They're on one of the waivers, and they were gonna be losing their waiver slot because there's all this extra paperwork you have to do to keep them on a waiver. So doing a pilot project right now to see if it's even gonna be, they're even gonna be able to do the people on a waiver. But this is all something new that's coming out in the state, and it's gonna be coming out in the next year or two fully. That's just kind of another reason I hate to make a lot of changes, you know, just until we really know where that's going. I mean, some fear of, you know, case management not being needed as much. Some agencies are worried about having way off case managers, you know, we don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, how are these health homes going to, the people that they serve aren't gonna have to go to that health home, are they?
Yep, they would have to go there for
On their own?
for their service, yeah, and then that health home is the one that's responsible for coordinating and doing all that stuff, as what a case manager does.
But right now, the case managers go out to meet the people.
Right, but they wouldn't necessarily have to go out and meet the people. Sometimes they may have to, I suppose, if the person can't get out of the home, and I don't know how they're setting them up, it's up to the health home, how they set it up. But they're gonna have to meet the needs of this, but it's, you know, on the state, for a couple of years, they get 90% of the match from the government for this, so after 2 years, that's done, so my concern is that people be going into it, and then after 2 years, when the match is no longer there, and the state doesn't have all that money, I mean, I don't know where it's going, but that has been part of the legislation, and that's gonna be happening. You know, we talked about it in our department meetings, and it's like, you know, I mean, there's no use worrying about it, it's, you know, it's gonna happen, but I still feel that we offer such a service to where there's nobody who can offer our kind of service in 15 minutes a month. You know, there's just no way for all the coordination and that kind of stuff. So, but it's gonna be different, it's gonna be in flux for a while and all that, so, anyway.
I assume you put a lot of miles on, and 42 cents isn't a whole lot for you.
Well, you know, and we're still higher than a lot of counties, you guys. You know, a lot of them are still in the 30s yet, but, I mean, I know it's not much reimbursement. I know,
With $4 gas.
I know, I hear ya. I
Because
hear
every
ya.
time it goes up, that's that much more out of your pocket.
I know,
But that's not right.
well, I know, but,
Medicaid ought to realize that. Would they like to go out and drive for 39 cents a mile?
yeah. I'm thinking state employees probably only get 39 cents reimbursement, you know, so that's why they
But they
set
get a lot
that
of other
as a rate.
things that other people don't get.
Depends, they get a car provided sometimes.
Well, and see, and that's what I wish we could just
That's a
get a
big
couple of
difference.
cars. You know, that would be nice.
You know what,
That's
that's
some,
It'd be cheaper to
Sometimes you want
give more
but
gas. money.
but you know, if we would get a car, we can capture it in our cost report. We can depreciate it, you
But you're still
know.
gonna have people
Hell,
having to drive their
supervisors
car,
probably
because
have
everybody
one-on-one
won't be
meetings.
able to use the car when you need it.
But for the longer trips though, I mean, you wouldn't use it when you're going to Osage or St. Anne's, when you're going to Mason Clear Lake, Des Moines. But anyway, that's a whole nother issue at our 2080 board meeting. I hate to take up so much time, sorry. But, so how about if I shoot an email to Rick and Pat and you have Mark's? I just think for us 5 to get together, I mean, do you guys think? Are you in agreement though, like for president with the 2.5%? Or do you think do you want to really pursue with them being Mitchell County employees and do it for July 1st? I mean, where are you thinking? Where are you at with everything? I know.
I thought we were already agreed on getting him to be Mitchell County employees.
So if that's something that, I
Well,
mean,
we're just waiting on that 2080 from the county attorney down there and to make those changes, and I haven't heard from him.
So what I think we need to do, and I think he needs to get with Mark anyway, you know, because they both need to sit down and get, don't you think? I mean,
Well, we wouldn't do anything unless Mark looked at it anyway,
right,
you know.
right.
No, now they're doing taxes, they're gonna
Yeah,
get
I know.
together.
Good luck
Just
to
another year
them.
wasted.
We've been discussing this for what, 13, 14 months now?
Yeah,
mean, it's-
I know.
think it's- somebody should have been done by now.
Yeah.
2080 was never being followed till last year or so. 7 years, what are you supposed to
We
get
go with the
together?
2.5% now and work things out afterwards, or
Well,
what?
that's fine with me.
I guess that's not so far off. But like,
Consensus of the board?
right,
Yeah.
but I do think we need to really sit down and hammer that out and get it, you know, so
Yeah.
everybody's comfortable with it.
Yeah,
Yep, why don't we go that route then?
okay.
Or you got a different idea?
No, I just feel bad, you know, that it kind of, you know, sat there on his desk for a while, and Rick and I both tried calling him, and we just should have set up a meeting earlier than what we did. No, I'm sorry about that, but,
Well, I know Rick had mentioned something way back in November or October.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get with
I
that,
know,
with
I
their
know.
attorney over there. and,
Yeah,
must be-
Okay, we'll leave
But
it
it's
stand
a,
at that then.
go through that, read that 2080 and that, all, I mean, it's.
I have read it, I have,
You
and
know,
it,
and
I have, and it's not very clear, I don't think, anyway, so,
that was my first thought, it was written in a hurry.
Well, and it probably was because all this kinda happened, the hospital
pretty quick.
had stopped, and
Okay.
it did happen in a hurry.
Okay, well, and
Yeah,
that was good, I mean, but
yeah.
like I say, Bob and I weren't around at that time, and so
Yeah.
it's Stan's fault.
Can't argue.
Let's try it and see what we can come up with going forward, you know, and if we need to, but I'm glad everybody's kinda getting that idea that they're, you know, that money's not coming out of county taxpayers' pocket,
Right.
you know, it's reimbursed.
And that was a big discussion too with the attorney. You know,
I
it's
mean-
not county dollars, so it's
Right.
not as if you know,
And
it
so
is
they
a
don't
whole
have to-
different thing than the regular county employee, so.
And they don't have to justify it to their constituents that, you know, any way, shape or form, because their taxes are not going up because they gave them a, you know, 0.5% more than anybody else or
Mhm.
whatever, you know.
Right, right. So, so I'm gonna email them, Rick and Pat and you,
That'd be fine.
and I, you know, we just need to get together as soon as possible. Even if it's tax season, we can still get together soon and start talking about it. If we don't, it's just gonna end up being pushed back and back and back again.
Summer will get here and everybody will get busy.
Right, because we just need to have some kind of a decision for sure. If it's a bit of a change on 2080, whatever it is, but we have to at least come to some kind of an agreement. So I'm gonna go back into an email right now, Ben,
What
to,
raise would you have given them?
What did Chickasaw get this year for raises?
to,
2.
Okay, so you.
So if we would've given them 4, that would've been 6, and they would've got 3.
Yeah, our employees get
We can play
3.
that game too.
Well, that's why the board,
I
we have to have that executive board get together with,
Right.
along with you. And you need to look at the benefits and you need to look what the other case managers are getting paid. You know, that's all gonna play into it, cause that's the way they look at ours. I mean, you know.
right. And like I said, I am glad that we're comparable, at least, that's good.
Yeah,
you know,
it was, yeah, you are. It's
Mhm.
across the board.
If the counties were the same wage-wise, it wouldn't be a problem, but there's been such a discrepancy in the last few years. And 1 year, Chickasaw froze, and we probably were 2, then they went 2, so that averages 1%. You don't keep up with cost of living.
That's right, it's not a raise unless it's higher than the cost of living, as far as I'm concerned, but never gets reported that way, you know, it's always a raise.
Then the argument that we have 5 unions over there, well, whose fault was that? The former board.
Yeah.
Well, if we're able to see
Not
what
only the
other
people that are there now, the
counties
people
are
that were
paying and this
before.
and that, then we can
Did
start
you
to come
see
to
that
some.
sheet?
I mean, then we can start to
Okay,
come
yeah.
to some consensus and,
Yeah, and I'll, at my meeting too, I'll try to get even more of the counties, especially in our region and what they're
Sure.
making.
sounds good.
And, okay, so we'll go with the 2.5%, but definitely, for the 2 chairs and then the, well, or if you want Joel to be the person, whatever.
One Mullin anyway, but Stan can surely go if he wants to.
Well,
No, Joel.
Joel's kind of been the one from the get-go, but
Yeah,
yeah,
as long as,
yeah. Or about, it doesn't matter, but yeah, I think it would be very good to get.
Well, let's see what we can come
Okay.
up with,
Yeah,
you know.
sounds good.
okay,
If we can agree next year, well, then we'll have to do something different. We
right.
gotta get it done long before this time.
Well, and we, let's watch with the email out now. I don't care if they're doing taxes, they can still find some time for this, because, yeah, we've been trying to get it going, so.
He's
So
a
your
full-
attorney shouldn't be doing taxes.
He's a full-time.
Oh, no,
county
but you were saying taxes.
attorney.
Well, Mark.
Yeah, but he'll be able to have some time. It shouldn't take too much. We should be able to even come over here since he's doing taxes,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Alrighty.
Just one more quick thing, good news, we had received a letter from DHS that we were supposed to do a payback because there was some inaccuracies in some billing of the case managers. The billing system was changed 2 or 3 years ago to that 15-minute increment, you know, from the hourly, or from the monthly. And, we've changed our forms and everything anyway. Inadvertently, some units were billed that shouldn't have been. Medicaid had gone back and done an audit, so we were supposed to pay back like $2,500, which the state total was 300,000, so that's minimal compared to all of them. But still, I have the letter all made up, went through it all last week, got everything together to appeal 2 of the clients because I felt we shouldn't have to pay back, and I had the documentation for it. I just got an email before I came here that IME is not going to recoup it. So,
Good.
I shared all this with Chickasaw Board yesterday, saying we're gonna have to pay back some money, blah, 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 but yay, now we don't. So, anyway, okay, well, thank you so much, you guys.
Yep, thanks.
And, we will be in touch. Have a great day, bye-bye.
Don't forget your copy.
Well, just for a minute, as long as the press, I'm sure, is going to be reporting on this ATV thing. Bob had pointed out, and I should have said something at the time when they were here, but on page 3 of their handout, they have a number of inaccuracies. Number 1, it says current law, Mitchell County, Iowa. It says allows children as young as 12 years old to operate an ATV on county highways in Mitchell County, even on an adult-sized ATV. We do not allow, you have to be 16 years old, that was state law. You have to be a licensed driver. It says on the 4th one, if over age of 16, no safety certificate or driver's licensure is required. Again, false, a driver's license is required. And the last item, it says no restrictions related to hours of operations, lights, visibility, seasons. Yes, there are restrictions again. State law says a half an hour before sunrise to a half an hour after sunset.
I asked about those, and they said because it wasn't specifically spelled out in your ordinance, that's why they wrote
We
that.
do not have an ordinance.
Or what resolution or whatever. The resolution didn't state all those things.
The resolution,
That's what they were.
the
that's what-
resolution refers to 321.234A.
And I asked that too, and they
and-
said that Mitchell County was the only one that had a half a page. Everybody else had 3 or 4 pages that listed everything out that the state went.
That also is false.
Franklin did.
That also is false because we used the same resolution
Franklin.
that, no,
Winnebago.
Well, first time was Franklin.
Yeah.
right, but Winnebago, and that was it.
They said
Also
Mitchell
has-
County's was the shortest that they had seen of all of the resolutions.
Well, maybe we just
We're
stated
like
the facts.
Winnebagos and-
And all the counties that they had looked at specifically listed the things from the state code, and Mitchell County's didn't list that from the state code. So the assumption is by reading the resolution that those things aren't necessarily out there.
They
If
are.
an individual read that and they didn't know what the state code said, this individual can make the assumption that there was nothing then. Just saying that the assumption is if the public is educating themselves and they read the resolution, if it's not stated, there's an assumption that then there isn't anything. Just saying, that's why you see those, because there's an
They don't
assumption.
look at the codes or anything anyway, they just hop on and go.
But saying though, but the
Under that
resolution.
scenario, Jim, under that scenario, if we have, how do I want to put it? There's all kinds of traffic laws, and yet again, you don't have every traffic law listed as,
Just saying, that's what they told me,
Well,
Stan. I'm not gonna go on and on, I'm just saying,
No,
that's where those statements come
Yeah,
from,
but
because
they're
they do a
making, they're
comparison.
making a lot of poor assumptions
Well,
and,
They're doing a comparison of resolutions, and when they see some that do and some that don't, then they can easily make that statement that because it doesn't have it, that there's an implied assumption that there isn't. I'm just saying, that's where you get those statements being made.
well, they're doing
And
a good job.
remember what she was saying, the state code refers to farmers, blah, 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 blah. She doesn't know if the state code covers anyone else. I think that's why she was suggesting, just specify that in the Mitchell County code.
That's what they were saying was in the resolution, that if it's not specified, people assume that it's not illegal because there's no.
It is
there's no-
specified.
Not
We
in,
adopt-
not
we
in the.
adopted
Yeah.
321.234A of
Which-
the Iowa Code.
Which goes back to the assumption that people are gonna educate themselves and read the Iowa code, which people are not
It
gonna
is
do anyway.
specified, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's where it
That's
is,
it.
yeah.
They're just trying to justify their own existence.
Claims, you want a little time to look them over? Phil? I mean, we can take a 5-minute recess. 5-minute recess.
Rather than what maybe you intend for it to be, because people aren't educating themselves with it, and so that's their thing.
Then the manufacturer should do that.
Well, and that's what they have with.
But the manufacturers say, oh, well, we never intended them for roads.
No, they wanna make money, is all they
I
wanna do.
know, I know.
It'd be interesting if they took any safety material down to Pat, because she's the one that
Yeah.
sells those, and I'll check on that.
But this idea always that we gotta try to protect everybody else, and I know better than you do what's good for you.
Well, I'm
This is
just,
a silly idea.
I'm just saying, get the information out to people. They can choose to
Yeah.
follow it or
And
not.
that's what I told them that really would be beneficial, would be to have more community meetings. They've just started going around to counties because they just got their stuff put together. Unfortunately, if you don't agree with it, that it doesn't reflect Mitchell County correctly, that may be another issue.
Right.
Well, let's continue on, approve the claims. Any,
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
been moved and second to approve the claims. Further discussion. Hearing none, vote please. You're out. Aye, motion carried. Approval of Historic Preservation Commission report.
So I wanted to give you a little recap of our accomplishments. Last year, we used grant money to complete that Planning for Preservation report. It was presented to the community as part of our Preservation Month activities in May of 2012. Every year, the National Park, was it the National, whatever it is, it's National Historic Preservation group sends out a theme for the Preservation Month. Last year's theme was Discovering Your Community's Hidden Gems. So we used the survey of the county resources that we did as part of our planning report, and we selected 4 sites to shine a light on. The first program we held at Mona Lutheran Church, and we highlighted one of several Lutheran churches that were founded in the 1800s by Klaus Clausen in Mitchell County. About 30 people came to that. They were impressed with the renovation of the church and the colors and the style of its Norwegian roots. Our second program, we did another Klaus Clausen church. It was the one at Maroa. But in addition to the program on the Rock Creek Lutheran Church, we had a program on the other historic buildings at Maroa. That was the Dockham Log Cabin, and Mr. Dockham came and did a program at the Walnut Grove School, and Muriel Johnson's wife is... Muriel, another M name. Muriel did a program at the Walnut Grove School. We had over 30 people in attendance. The third program featured 2 sites in Stacyville, and that was the flag dedication ceremony at the Stacyville Cemetery at the gravesite of Julia Addington. And then we moved inside to the Stacyville Memories Museum for a presentation on Stacyville history with Mary Blake. And again, we had over 30 people at the program. And then we capped our Preservation Month activities with another hidden gem, and that was the church, the Union Presbyterian Church, which is now only open on Memorial Weekend. The history of that charming little church has been kept alive by Donna Ziegler. And she not only gave a history of the church, but she has gotten all of the church copies of all of the church records from the National Presbyterian Church. And she brings them there every Memorial Day weekend for people who want to look up marriages and baptisms and funerals. And I didn't know that early records were in German at that church. We also had about 30 people at that program. All the programs were videotaped, and we created a Preservation Commission website, which needs updating, but so all of those programs can be viewed on the website. In June, we hosted the 3rd annual Summer Solstice Nature Poetry Reading, and we featured poetry with Hamlin Garland at the Hamlin Garland Wildlife Area. This is the 2nd year that thunderstorms affected the attendance. We still had a dedicated group who listened to the poetry as the rain beat down on the tin roof of the shed out there. We're talking about moving it somewhere, somewhere maybe where we could have a little drier, if it rains, a little drier program.
On 4 places.
Several members of the Preservation Commission were asked for information or assistance. We met with Brenda Dwyer to review tax credit program. Somebody was considering buying Maple Inn building. Although I do have to admit, I think with the current state of the state and federal budget, those tax credit programs are, at this point, they're kind of, yeah, they're not being fully funded, so we do have information about it, and I did meet with her. We assisted Dorcas Darrow, asked for help to complete the most endangered building nomination form for the courthouse, and the courthouse was selected last year as one of Iowa's 10 most endangered buildings. We've also tried to provide useful information to the Board of Supervisors and the community in making decisions about the courthouse. We invited Paula Moore and Jack Porter from the State Historic Preservation Office, and they attended the 4 community meetings about the courthouse and provided information on programs available to the state. When the decision was made to replace the courthouse and build a new one, several community residents approached the commission members wanting us to do something, and we explained that was not something that the Preservation Commission really could get involved with. So we assisted them in creating a separate group with a Friends of the Courthouse group. Though the Board of Supervisors decided not to accept the grant that was awarded last year from the courthouse, the commission will work with you and the FEH architects in any way we can, should the option of renovating the courthouse be considered. I asked Kevin Epperly if he would be interested in the courthouse drawings, which Scott, what was his name? Chip Overton had scanned all of the drawings, and he said he would. He asked Chip if it was okay if I share them with him, and so I did. I sent them all of the digitized drawings of the courthouse, just so they'd have them when they're looking at that option. He said that would help them. I also sent the digital copies of the Steinmetz report and the National Historic Register nomination to Ed Storm. He's the preservation architect, just so he has that information when he's doing whatever it is he does. We are looking forward to working with the supervisors and hosting more programs in 2013. We want to highlight our county's historic resources, and we're also going to see if we can think of any, we would like to do the Hamlin Garland Homestead as the National Historic Register site, but Dan said, you know, right now with his mother owns it, and she's really in no state to, you know, the owner has to sign off on that. But I think Dan is sort of interested in that, and if we can think, and if you can think of any other site we should try to work on. I mean, Mary, I asked her about the Washington building. She has all the paperwork ready. It's gotten the preliminary approval, and I said, well, even if, I don't know what the status of her
What's the
plans
handwritten?
are.
It's for some conditions, just agreement or.
If we could, at least, you know, kind of go forward with that, we could list that as an accomplishment. If we got it listed on the National Historic Register, it is deemed eligible. But if there's other sites in the county that you can think of, we should work on. One, we did get we began on that Unionhurst Gallery when, his name, I can't say his name now, he died in a car wreck last year. Why can't I say his name, you know?
Langrock.
Yes, Fred Langrock. We started, you know, so I think I'd like to kind of, we did that when we had our consultant. She at least helped get a little preliminary thing together, and that might be something we could kind of work on with where the Atlanta Sampson collection is held. Because we at least got, she helped us start a form on that, so. But we'd like to pick out a couple of places like that to move forward, in addition to, we haven't gotten the theme for this year's Preservation Month, so when we met, we thought we'd wait till we know that every year they have a theme. One year it was This Place Matters, one year it was, I can't remember, we didn't do in one year, but last year it was Hidden Gems, so we try to find something that we can do in the county that goes along with the national themes of Preservation Month. So look for something in the month of May, and we were talking about maybe doing a photography contest in the fall for architectural, you know, and kind of getting kids involved and going out and taking pictures of some of our historic treasures. They would probably see things differently than we do, so we're gonna work on that for the fall. So that was our accomplishments.
Okay.
So the report is done, and we have to sign it, and we can send it off, and then we'll have met. And you know, I have to document our meetings, I have to document all the stuff. So I documented all of our meetings, all of our educational things. We're still interested if we can, you know, Wendy was just too busy, but if you can think of other individuals, you know, we'd like to, you know, I'd like to get enough people so that, like, I don't wanna be the Preservation Commission forever, you know, I think we need to bring in new blood. I keep saying, I can hardly wait until Josh graduates, and Mary Danae said, oh yeah, you know, there's a big long, Sister Cities is already planning on turning that over to Josh. You know, Josh Randall, yeah, you should, you know, have to get in line, but we, you know, I wanna recruit some other people. I think things kinda get, organizations tend to get ossified if you don't bring in the blood.
Well, the one thing that I would want to caution the Friends of the Courthouse group is the historical architect that we have hired is a Mitchell County.
Oh, I know, I'm just,
And when you folks want to dominate the meetings, that is not, this is our meetings
no,
with the historical architect. It's not for you folks to oversee and dominate those type of meetings.
No,
I wanna caution you on that.
No, like I said, I just shared what resources we have. I asked Kevin Upperly, would you be interested in this? And he said, yes, please. So, I mean, that's, you know, I said, this is available. If you're interested in using it, if there's anything I can provide you, I will. And I said, I understand the courthouse may be beyond renovation. And I accept that, and as I think everybody, every member of our group does. It may be beyond renovation, we don't know, I don't know. I accept that. So, whatever we have, the finished product, I'd like to see a, you know, a nice stunning building, whether it's a new building or the old building. It needs to be a stunning building. Or something that's a good symbol of the county. I accept it could be a new building.
Well,
I'm
go
with
back
you on
and
that
read the
one.
RFP, that's what we said, has to be in the spirit of the county or something that way, that fact, I mean. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that, I understand at the last meeting, I was not there, but that doesn't need to get rehashed at every meeting.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say anything.
Mary Denee was,
Well, you know, she has her grandfather's diary. I can't control
I
other
don't care
people.
what her grandfather
She has her
a
grandfather's
lot of
diary.
people probably worked on that building, but
Right, I mean,
that doesn't mean it has to be, it's sacred.
no.
So I told
Just caution
Kevin,
your group that.
you know, I can only control myself, and that's I told Kevin. I can only speak for myself. I cannot, you know, I can't control other people, so.
These other people have the right to clear the room if necessary, if they can't make progress at their meetings.
Be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Well, I agree. Like I said, that, you know, that assists them in any way making a decision, oh, it was really poorly made, you know?
Do we have a motion to approve the Historic Preservation Commission?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Further discussion. Hearing none, Morel.
Aye.
Wolfgang.
Aye.
Rock, aye, motion carried.
Do you wanna mail this, or you want me to mail it?
I don't care. It goes to Paul.
Goes to Paul Moore, yeah.
Okay.
That's a requirement.
I'll make a
So
copy
now,
of it.
check that off. We did our
Meetings
requirements.
attended.
Thank you. Insurance risk pool.
Thank you.
Board, we approved, returning pool surplus of $425,000 to the $400,000 to the counties and $25,000 to the special acceptances, which I believe in last year we returned $750,000, so we should probably see about a half of the credit we got last year. Our going forward, workman's compensation, the red are all the ones that went up. And so workers' compensation is gonna go up a lot this year. I mean,
What we were told yesterday at the COG is statewide, they were looking at about 10% overall statewide. And then we were gonna get nailed even more because we had a couple of drivers that on the transit thing got injured, and then one mechanic, and
well, I can
So-
tell you why that is. There's too many frequent flyers on workman's compensation, you know, and I see it every time I go down to that meeting, you put through the claims book,
Same counties?
same, well, not only the same counties, but it's the same type of people, same, you know,
Class of,
and just from what I can tell you, there are frequent flyers. Individuals that know how to use the system to get what they want, and it costs dearly. Now, you take, we have one individual that's from Mitchell County, and it's not our fault, and it's not his fault, but that's gonna be a fairly big claim, that the individual, and you and I were at that meeting when, and I still haven't talked to Greg about that, but during the investigation, no drug test was done, you know, and I don't know that was until
Really?
48 hours later, and, no charges have been filed.
Oh, my goodness.
And that all goes to workman's compensation, and we discussed a little bit down there, in that subrogation, we may only see half of the money coming back to the pool. For the, well, lawyers are gonna take their third right off the top, whatever the insurance companies come up with. So, but anyway, our 2013-14 premiums, we're looking at about $278,000. So you take whatever we got, half off that, so we might be looking at 230 maybe, I forget what we got last year, was it 60? Something like that,
It seemed like it was more than that.
70?
maybe 70, so we may only see 35,000 this year in a premium, but it's something.
Yeah, better.
What we wanna do is, in our insurance pool is, the auditors recommended that we have a $5 million surplus, and that's what we're trying to get, we're at $4.8 million now, so. And then the other thing was cyber, and I gotta ask Barb about this, cyber risk insurance, that's for somebody, I don't know if it's hacking in or people use their credit card, the treasurer's the only one that use credit card, but some folks have this way of reading that if they're standing there with you,
Oh, yeah.
a device,
Yeah, I'll take it.
well, then
Pictures.
we could be liable for that. And then we can, Gallagher will provide that to the pool for, I think it was $114,000 per year for cyber insurance. I don't know whether that's that. None of the pool, we took it back. I'm gonna ask Barb what she thinks about it, and anybody else, if you guys have any ideas whether we should or not. I was just watching TV the other day, and it was like it was on Face the Nation or one of those shows, and that's the biggest threat to our country right now is the cyber attacks. More so than all these other countries, Russia, China, every country is involved in it, and they all do it. But it's not gonna be, we're not gonna get attacked by, another country, Navy with battleships and aircraft here. It will be cyber attacks that we're gonna get, and they can shut down our whole grid.
Well, didn't they just, somebody hack into the Federal Reserve here, was that last week, or?
It's every day.
Yeah.
And a lot of these large companies, like, they didn't give their names, but they're not telling anybody they're getting attacked because they don't want their,
Panic with their
panic, and they
customer.
don't want their stockholders knowing that, we could be losing millions and millions of dollars. So, I think we're on the small end of the scale. I think the big,
Well, why don't you also ask Mark,
yeah, and that'll,
just to see what he thinks too, because I mean, if he has to defend us on something, why,
We'll be buying cyber insurance?
well, that's the question. And we've had that, Gallagher's given this to us a number of times. You guys can look this over. What's the risk? Information, data available. And we've talked about it, and so now it finally comes down to, I'll take it back to all your counties and see what anybody wants to.
Like individuals have an identity, so.
Well, and that's it too. But they're starting to write insurance for all that. And it's, I think, the policy aggregate would be $11 million. And one Beasley company would only go $10 million for the counties. So, anyway, that was my meeting.
At the North Iowa Vocational Center, also known as NIVIC, full board meeting last Thursday. We welcomed new member Royce Schwickerath from Floyd County, replacing Warren Dunkel on the board. Went over the financials with Tim Schupek, the CPA. Still losing some money, but not as much as before. Taking some corrective action on on preventing the losses or dealing with the losses. They raised the price of pallets 2% and increase the waiver services 2%, plus 2% overall reduction in payroll. We're cutting wages and hours to make the budget balance. We're cutting back on the hours at the stores. They'll both close at 5:30. Assembly and packaging is picked up with Sucups Manufacturing has brought in some more business. A couple of new projects with Eternity Wireless and Directions Research. I'm not sure exactly what those people do, but if they can provide us with some work, that's great. Janitorial and Transitional Employment Services contracts with Curry's, Graham, and Faith Baptist continue to provide work. Had to replace the furnace at Affordables on First. The work center, update on the heating and ventilation and air conditioning system is continuing to be updated. Discuss some new action plans. The Mason City Library over there, there's been a couple of different entities trying to operate the coffee shop in there, and they haven't been able to successfully do that, so NIVIC is going to go in there and give it a shot with some of the employees, and they'll be using cabin coffee, I guess, and have just a limited menu, and we're thinking about calling it Java Works, but let's see. Oh, let's see what else. Basically going over some of the personnel changes and things like that. The 5th annual Dancing for the Dream is coming up on March 2nd. I put a flyer up on the wall there. It's $35 a ticket, most of which is tax deductible. It's really a fun event. This is going to be the 5th one. I've only been to one of them, but it's just fantastic to watch these people dance. I mean, they have apparently spent 10,000 hours practicing what they do, and it's just unbelievable. And they have more dancers this year than last, and it's going to be held at the Surf Ballroom this year instead of Music Man Square. So that was pretty much the meeting there. That was the only one I had, let's see.
I had two. Last Wednesday, we had the statewide supervisor meeting. I'm really impressed with our new lobbyist. He's a former state legislator, senator, and he's really doing his homework.
What's his name?
Oh, Christ.
I've had it
Mr.
on the
Polk,
TV.
Bill Heckroth.
Heckroth, okay, well, it has to be something easy, can't be Smith or
Heckroth.
Jones.
No. I don't know if you get his weekly newsletters.
Probably,
I'll have to
yeah.
forward one or have you email him, but he's really, they say he tries to be real complete. We had a good session with Senator Jeff Danielson on property tax updates and what he was seeing. I think, again, part of the problem that Senator Danielson has is that he also does not understand really all of the benefits that industry has gotten over the last 20 years, you know, with no machinery and equipment and that. And you even take a thing like the new Valent plant out here, $150 million plant, and they're going to be pushing hard to have $20 million of assessed property. And
That would be on the high side.
that'd be on the high side.
They're looking more at 10 million.
Yeah, so I mean, and then on top of that, they're saying that one of 4 of the large corporations in Iowa here pay no property tax at all. So I mean, it's one of the things that they're looking at, though, is they're also looking at reducing the valuation of the windmills right along with the other property taxes. But they're trying to claim that if the state does not backfill, then the property tax does not go down for those people. That they're gonna have that poison pill in there that the state has to backfill, otherwise it goes back to what it should have been. And so,
I have a big idea. Why don't they reduce my property taxes?
Well, that's where they're gonna get the money to backfill.
Well, exactly.
Somebody's gotta pay taxes, you know, it's just
Always
a
falls on the
game.
residential people.
It's just who has the best lobby down there, that's all I'm gonna do.
so then at 11:30, we were supposed to have a report by Representative Josh Burns, Chair of the House Transportation Committee, but he bothered to call up and say he couldn't make it. And, you know, we had a couple hundred supervisors sitting there wanting to hear what was happening. At least Senator Danielson stayed on, and he did speak on what he understood to be happening on the gas tax. But I was very disappointed that, because that's about the first time I've ever gone to one of these where somebody has agreed to come and speak. And then, you know, when we have 200 people around the state showing up to hear them, and they don't show, that's, to me, not a real good deal. At noon, we had Grunstall and a couple of the legislators, basically, again, giving their reports. I guess there was really nothing earth-shaking about what they were stating. We had a short business meeting, again, didn't really amount to anything. And then they had the mental health discussion. And nobody seems to know, again, exactly where that mental health is all going. It's up in the air. A lot of the people from the counties are trying to get input into to what is really going to be best for clients, for us. And yet again, you know, you have the state people that don't necessarily agree with that. One thing that was brought up, though, by an individual in the afternoon at our business meeting was there's a push on, and it might be too late in this session already, but there's a push on what they call a rural improvement zone. And it would operate somewhat like a TIF. And they're hoping to get, I think it was $40 million of state money. And any one county could apply for up to $3 million. And this would be for basically growing economic development in your county. The state would put up 60% of the money, the county would have to put up 40% in your county. But still, it would really be up to the Board of Supervisors then to how, if we applied for it, we were given a grant, how we would spend it in order to enhance jobs, growth here in Mitchell County. And I thought that was rather a novel idea, and hopefully they'll have something maybe next month in the island on what this rural improvement zone, but it sounded like a lot of legislators were in favor of it. There was a number of people on board that was going to be pushing for it, so that was anyway the statewide supervisor meeting. The other one I had yesterday was the NICOG meeting, and I guess our biggest concern again was the workman's comp. Joe right now is overseeing 22 counties for some of the housing projects. They're even as far down as Des Moines. He has to oversee for applications. And I forget exactly what the program was yesterday. It wasn't the flood housing, it was a little bit different, but there were 6 applications going in. One was from Altoona, but the ones that NICOG were overseeing was really scoring the highest. We should have some additional monies coming in, I think, to Charles City, maybe a little bit to St. Ansgar and Mason City. So those were my meetings. Clerk of Court report.
$1,365.08.
So noted. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Don't forget, there's a legislative forum Saturday, 10 o'clock at Raceville Library. Hopefully Josh will make it to that one. Josh and Mary Jo are supposed to be there, so.
What kind of cookies do you have against that?
I don't know, Mary said she was gonna handle the cookies. I said, well, call up the Republican women. I gave her some names and I'll get them. I said, you know, there's.
They were good.
If there's nothing else for the good of the cause, we'll stand adjourned at 10:23. Next Tuesday, we'll try to be out of here.
Oh, I just found out when I was going to home, Amy's having her public hearing next Tuesday.
Damn, that's right, 10 o'clock, isn't it? Well, then,
Do it the next week.
we'll have to do it the following week.
Mhm.
Okay.
Still winter.
I haven't seen that, but that's what she said.
Yeah,
Steve
I
Cooper was
forgot
here
about
for
that.
it, the wrong date down
I
there.
forgot about that too. We rely on you all to keep us straight.
Oh, I didn't know either, but I thought I better mention that when you mentioned